Hello, my name's Daniel Hawkins and I'm a second year MBA candidate and Centre for Digital Strategies MBA Fellow at the Tuck School. Pleased to welcome Margot Delogne, Vice President of Global Communications at Tele Atlas, who is joining us today as part of the Britt Technology Impact Series. Welcome to Tuck, Margot. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Okay, so let's ask the first question. So maps are at the heart of every location-based service or application. So just how widely used are Tele Atlas's maps?
Well, we've actually been making maps for about 25 years, and in the course of that time, our maps have been grown up with some of the most interesting devices that have come on the market lately, including personal navigation devices like a TomTom. Our maps are in-car systems, so in the embedded navigation systems within some very high-end cars. They are also in online applications, online local search applications. They're in enterprise applications that help businesses, for example, decide where to put a new building. And they also route the vast majority of emergency services in this country. So it's really critical that an ambulance get from a dock to a person in need very, very, very quickly. And that's what we help them do.
So how has the process of building digital maps and keeping them up to date changed over time?
It's changed dramatically. I mean, especially in the last year or so. The way that we used to create maps was, thinking about it today, very antiquated. I mean, we used to drive roads and take notes about where new roads were, or how a road might curve, or how long this particular stretch was. We would compile different sources of information like aerial imagery, satellite imagery, government sources, all that kind of stuff, to create and update our maps. And then we moved probably in like the 2006 or 7 timeframe to using something we called a mobile mapping van, which was a much more state-of-the-art van, completely equipped with cameras that would take pictures every sort of 20, 30 feet or so, and we would analyze that imagery and update our maps that way. That was then. Today what we're using is a combination of those sources, really greatly enhanced with community input, and we get community input in a few different ways. Someone might report on our website where there is a update to be made on our map, but the more interesting areas we are using are from TomTom devices. TomTom devices today have a piece of software called MapShare, and MapShare allows you to make a change directly on the device or share with us information about the routes that you've been down. And those two pieces of information have really shortened the time it takes for us to capture change in our map, but we still don't think it's fast enough. We'd like to get to the point where we're creating a map that reflects changes within 24 hours, and so we're always looking at new technologies and processes and tools to make that a reality, and we hope to do that sometime this year.
So you mentioned community helping you build a fresher map and track changes more quickly. So what are obviously there's great opportunity there, but are there any challenges of using community input?
There are some significant challenges. I mean, if you think about it, someone reporting a change might decide to say on the device, hey, this whole area, all the streets in here are named Margot Way, and we've had people make funny changes like that. But the huge advantage in our approach is that we can see immediately where there are valid changes and where there aren't valid changes. If we were just doing a pure sort of, report a change approach, it's hard to say what kind of a quality map that would produce, and we're seeing some examples of that in the industry today, where there's lots of people contributing to a map, but maybe not a lot of processes behind it to verify those changes. We've got the GPS measurements that we collect from drivers. We've got all these other thousands of sources that we use. So we kind of have this great combination of community input and other sources to really make sure that our maps are super accurate. And that's really important for our customers because they want to build an application or device based on an accurate location. Location is really the fundamental piece of these devices and these applications. And if it's wrong, then their user experience isn't good. So we're really focused on making sure that through community input or other sources, we create the freshest, best quality maps.
So you mentioned that a lot of people obviously have maps on their mobile devices, on their smartphones. What sort of things have Tele Atlas done to respond to the growth of web and mobile location-based services?
it's interesting to think about the mobile environment because it's different a little bit than automotive. You know, you might be walking down a street versus driving in a car, but you might be driving in a car using your iPhone and the TomTom app for iPhone for navigation. But in the mobile space, you know, what we're seeing is really an interest in getting even sort of richer content on the mobile device. You know, someone wants to not only, where's a parking space, a parking lot around me, but is there a space available in that lot? There's also a greater sense of immediacy on the mobile. You know, if I'm standing on a corner and I'm really in the mood for a great egg roll, and I look on my mobile device, I want to know, like, where's the highest rated Chinese food, you know, around me right now. And if I get an answer and I walk there and that store's closed, I'm going to be pretty bummed and still hungry. I think that the idea of fresher content, richer content is even more important in the mobile environment. And that's the kind of changes that we see is, you know, how do we make that happen? How does Tele Atlas make that happen?
So how will the way we use and interact with digital maps change in the next 5 years?
Well, the map is increasingly important in people's everyday lives, not only telling them kind of how to get from A to B in the fastest way, but in the most cost-efficient way. You know, if I can put in a route and find the most eco-friendly way to go, and I can save not only money and time and fuel, but also help the environment, I think we're going to see more sort of capabilities around that with maps. But even in the driving world, like you could imagine an environment where not only are you connected to your car and the way that you're driving, but your car is actually connected to the road. So in this sort of connected space of the car, you're actually taking a route in a very safe way because your car knows that there is a curve coming up and you better slow down, because people going around that curve at 60 miles an hour tend to take a spill versus people going at a really good, 40 miles an hour. I think the level of interaction with the map and the content in the map will deepen over time more so than it does today.
For my final question, I want to return to the subject of community mapping and the whole concept of crowdsourcing, essentially engaging with your community of users, and trying to generalize what you've learned in trying to engage with this crowd. So what advice would you give to an MBA student that's about to enter the world and be working in a marketing or technology role where they have to really concentrate on engaging with a community of users?
Well, you said the key word, which is engaging. I mean, the thing that crowdsourcing, that social media, that all of these kind of new ways of interacting with people do is they strengthen and deepen the interaction that you have with your potential customers. You could think of crowdsourcing as a kind of new way of doing focus groups. You know, we see examples of this every day where Dunkin' Donuts recently said, help us figure out the next donut, and they go out to their community of people. They crowdsource for their marketing idea, in effect. Or Pepsi, which in lieu of putting out ads on the Super Bowl, said, how can we spend this money to good social effect? Tell us. And they take a topic and they engage people, and they start with that, and then over time they continually engage them. So I guess the advice to people would be definitely use communities and use social media to put your arms around your potential consumers or customers, but also engage them throughout the course of the relationship. Don't just do it once. Think about this as a long-term kind of thing. And I think with those kind of ideas, you'd be pretty successful.
Margot, on behalf of the Centre of Digital Strategies at Tuck, I'd like to thank you again for speaking with us today. I'm sure our listeners will appreciate your thoughts and insights. This has been Daniel Hawkins for the Centre for Digital Strategies at the Tuck School of Business.